Hello and welcome everyone. I'm your host Manav Garg and you are listening to me on Adalat Unplugged, a podcast series by Center for Intellectual Property Law exclusively on Bennett Special. So this series is where sharp mind meets sharper ideas. We are bringing you thought-provoking conversations with well-rounded experts of various fields. From Spotify to YouTube and LinkedIn, we are here to make legal discussions anything but dull. Today we kick off with a trending topic, AI and law. Artificial intelligence has been rewriting the legal playbook, automating contracts, predicting case outcomes, and creating debates that keep lawyers up at night. Together, we'll unpack how AI is flipping the traditional legal world on its head. Joining me on this conversation is someone who has seen AI evolve from sci-fi to reality, Dr. Ajit Abraham, as the Vice Chancellor of Bennett University and a global expert in artificial intelligence. With over 30 years of experience, Dr. Abraham has worn many hats. He is the founding director of Machine Intelligence Research Lab in Seattle and has worked with the world-renowned institutions like MIT, Harvard, and Oxford. Welcome, sir. It's our absolute pleasure to have you on Adalat Unplugged. You had an incredible journey working across so many countries and prestigious research institutions. Let's start with exploring how those experiences have shaped your perspective on potential of AI.
Thank you so much for this opportunity for addressing all of you. I would like to congratulate the student body at large, and I wish all the best for this podcast series. I am very excited to be the inaugural speaker of this podcast. Coming to AI, I want to share my long journey of about 30 years, where I started learning from scratch. So I've seen, like a small baby, the initial developments of AI to the modern trendsetters in various dimensions. So when I look back 30 years ago, we were not able to do much AI because we didn't add much computational resources. Today we have powerful computational resources. Even a housewife can afford supercomputing power from a kitchen. I'm not telling about university, but even from a kitchen, she can access supercomputing power through various service providers. So AI has also turned into a different platform because of this readiness. Over time, a lot of inventions happened partially because of the drive from various industrial needs, applications. At the same time, computational resources availability. So together, I think it was a nice period of time, especially the last 10 years. And I would say, especially 2018, 2017, invention of transformers, the large language models, basically took off AI into a very different dimensions. We were able to utilize AI into many practical settings. So I would say, from AI as a tool, it is now being an assistant for many things, from basic, for example, for scheduling emails, filtering emails, online translation, real-time translation, to various automation. I would say from smart home, various healthcare needs, transportation systems, e-commerce, education, law, media. So I think AI is now into everywhere. If you ask me, can you tell me a field where you cannot use AI? It may be difficult for me to answer that. So AI is now everywhere, and the way it is growing, even I cannot predict where we will be in 5 years' time. Because even now I feel that the potential of AI is not there yet. Because what we are seeing is just a surface of the potential of AI. So all these large language models, like you might be familiar with all these GPTs, then all these media tools, Mid-Journey to various Gamma or Beta. For me, it's very difficult even to track the names. Every day something is coming up. So all these are, I would say, very, like early inventions. So I think the real potential might come in the next few years. So you're looking at what you call as general artificial intelligence. So we are really far away from, I would say, human intelligence. For example, while I'm talking to you, I'm thinking about, I have a meeting at 5, what I'll be discussing there, and tomorrow's meetings, and I'll be thinking about dinner, and I'll be, even I can think about what I did today in the morning while talking to you same time. So humans are very different, and AI, in a broad shell, we are still far away from that sort of general intelligence, where we can foresee things, where we can predict emotions, express emotions, understand others just by looking at the face. So AI is really a lot far away from what you call as general intelligence. But still, I think over time we will eventually get there. So I think as industries predict, in the next 5 years you will see a lot of developments, and I think this is going to take all of us into a very, I would say, a new era. I would say a revolution itself. So let us all hope for the best.
Thank you, sir. So as you rightly mentioned, like everybody has access of AI. So like I just want to ask, like from starting to this era, in your teenage, at what was your perception of AI in people's mind, and when was the first time you felt like this is something which you want to do?
So AI was something new for me, because I would say since I was I would say engineering graduate, so I had some initial computer science training, but AI was really far away. And then I did my master's in NTU Singapore. Then I had some initial classes on AI, and then luckily I had some nice, I would say, teachers who introduced me this interesting area. And once I finished my master's, I felt like half cooked, like I know AI but nothing I know in depth. Then I realized that it has a huge potential. So this was in the mid-90s. So I realized that because it is more like for me it is more like a problem solving tool. So you have data, and then you use this for modeling, just like the way we look at data. If you look at text, if you look at image, if you look at any chaotic series of data, we have our own ways of looking at it, and it's all modeling human mind, human ways of looking at it, and using various so-called learning methodologies. So that whole idea fascinated me. So being an engineer, I think it helped me to look from a solution point of view. Engineers always look at solutions. You see problems and then look at solutions. And AI is directly more like a problem solver. So you have it's more like you have a set of tools in your toolbox, and according to the need, you take it out. If it is a finance, you take something. If it is legal research, you take another set of tools. If it is media, you take another set of tools. So it is all about problem solving, and that fascinated me. And initially I used to work a bit on fundamentals of AI, like developing new tools, how to make things better. But over time I also got into various applications. So one of my passion, I would say, in terms of contributing to the body of knowledge, or how I say, I have done something very nicely is, I have done some work in AI itself, but certain work on healthcare. So by looking at an MRI scan, whether we can predict a patient is going to have Alzheimer's in 5 years' time, whether you're looking at a mammogram and predicting that whether this patient is going to have breast cancer in few months. So from diagnostics, that is what is happening currently. So basically doctors look at X-rays, CT scans, MRI scans, and tell, oh well, you have ALS and probably you might live for 5 years. But with AI, we can actually look at MRIs and tell that ALS is coming. Probably it's not difficult. I mean, it's very difficult to cure it because there's no cure for ALS. It's a neurological disorder, like Alzheimer's and Parkinson's. But it can help you to prepare. For example, if I can tell that instead of 5 years, if I can tell ALS will start showing symptoms in 3 years, and you might live an additional 6 years, probably, I'm going to give that cushion time for. So these type of things, for me, it was like a challenge, and I found it very interesting, contributing to the community at large. So being a researcher, AI is more like a tool, but when I see that these type of contributions happening and people started using these methodologies, I found very excited, and that really propelled me to continue work in different dimensions. So I've done work in finance, healthcare, energy demands, forecasting, various predictive analytics. So a lot of applications. So that really has exposed me the practical side of AI, and I still believe that a long way to go. Still, like a lot of things need to be done, because now we have all this new set of tools, this LLMs, transformers, all this new set of tools which can be applied in various contexts.
So what do you think how AI influence human mind?
Well, AI can influence anything.
Yeah.
So basically, when I look at how AI is performing right now, it is mostly because of its creativity.
Yes.
So, for example, if you ask ChatGPT, who is Ajit Abraham, you might get a very interesting answer which you might not get from a traditional Google search. Because thing is, LLMs or transformers or GPTs, they can link various things in a organized database, and somehow the way they connect the contexts, sometimes we feel that they do better than humans. So this really like creates an impression, wow. But apparently it is already there. It's not creating anything. Even we can do this, but the thing is, because of computational power, so we can actually link many things and come up with an answer within fraction of time. And this really surprises us, impresses us, and we feel that this is something very superhuman. But apparently it's not. It's more like I would say, a fantasy.
Sir, with AI now, like we able to create art, literature, and even music. How do you think intellectual property laws should evolve to address these issues of ownership for AI-generated works?
This is a very, I would say, very interesting question. So, software has been used since long time for evolving ideas. So, like I said, AI itself can be considered as an innovation tool. So, when you have a interesting problem and you can ask AI to find the best solutions, could be finding the best shape for a microphone or a phone or a pencil. AI can solve almost in ways of doing the same problem. So innovation can be in various dimensions. So there are various laws related to IP. For example, in the Western world, they always say that unless there is a human behind the invention, we cannot simply credit AI as an inventor. But for me, when I look at it, an AI algorithm itself cannot run without human. So many a times, again, it depends on how you see the AI tool. For example, if I look at certain platforms where I need to do some programming, and then the AI assists me to develop various pathways. For example, I remember this was like 15 years ago, NASA issued a public call for designing the best antenna for not I would say not best, but something very small and optimal, because antennas should be very compact and very lightweight, energy consumption is low. So basically a lot of parameters need to be combined. So NASA opened a call, and then the best solution was offered by AI. So they were human scientists, but the best scientists, and again the patent was granted. So it was an invention, but again what I'm trying to say is there was a human behind programming that. So again the credit, like it was joined, so human plus. So I would say, if you look at, for example, if you ask ChatGPT to compose a script for a movie, and if you get a script, and I don't think you should give ChatGPT as inventor. That is not correct. But if the human is involved in setting the context, for example, use prompt engineering, for example. If you're composing prompts and make the GPT work according to the way that you want to go, you want the story to be composed, then probably you are also playing a role. Then probably we can consider as a joint. So it's a very difficult call to separate that boundaries depending upon individual situations and cases. But I strongly disagree to to take a serious call in this, because it all depends upon case by case circumstance.
I believe creativity plays an important role here in AI. So for students like myself and professionals interested in AI and law, what skills or area of knowledge would you recommend us to focus on, for stay us on a right path?
So AI I would say it's a huge area to study. So we have a BTech program in AI which runs for 3 years of tough courses and final year internships. So you can imagine it's a huge area to deep dive. So again, if you are from a professional background, for example, you are from legal background, someone could be media, someone could be finance, then I think it is important for us to focus on certain areas, how we would like to utilize technology to enhance our productivity. For example, if you look at the whole legal field, I'm totally not well connected with the legal area, but from what I understand is you can actually, I think you used this word earlier, you can predict judgments.
Yes.
If you can case study some of the previous judgments, and if you present a case, probably you can very well predict that we are going to get this judgment. But again, coming back, so by knowing that, you can also create a counter argument, a defense according to the judge. Knowing that this judge is going to make like this, then I have to present my situation like this, bring more evidences or bring more defenses towards it. So it also helps both sides. Legal documents, a lot of documentation, and imagine for a human, this is what I remember. I had few lawyers as friends, and whenever I see the office, I feel like running away, seeing all this, nice books stacked up, and I usually do like this, and I run away, and I tell that is not my cup of tea, because I don't like memorizing and I don't like handling so big books. So now it is more digitized. So if you have all our LLMs to go through all these digital archives, you can summarize what is inside. You don't have time, and I want to find out what is the summary of this judgment, what are the main takeaway points from this, so you can easily compose. I am a lawyer, I don't have time, what is happening in the country. You can ask a software agent or an AI agent, we call agent, to scotch through various news channels, medias, and find 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. These are the top 10 things happened in the country during the last 24 hours. Right? Translation. You have legal documents in Hindi, imagine a country like ours, we have states and then each regional languages, and it's not translation. Translation is easy because Google can do that, but legal translation is very different because the context and how we present this. So LLMs could be used for developing such chatbots, assistants. For example, like we have now legal aid clinic, but imagine we can also have virtual legal aid, where not only our neighboring villages but even the whole country, from people from Assam, people from Nagaland, people from Tamil Nadu, Karnataka, all can access. And basically the same thing, right? It's all same thing. You can provide virtual, like aid to many more. So I think the whole profession would benefit a lot by using AI at large. I mean, this is only AI, but again, if you look at augmented reality, virtual reality, and various other assisted technologies, it will be. You can have a virtual court, for example. You can imagine avatar coming inside as a defense and another. So a lot of things can be seen in the future, and I think sky is the limit.
AI can predict judgments, AI can draft documents. So, are we on a safer side? Like, are we able to get the jobs?
See, there is a wrong notion that AI is going to take away all these jobs. Well, to some extent, it is true because AI is all about automation. For example, if then rules. If it is like this, then it is like this. So things defined like that, those type of things can be automated very well, right? For example, why you put a policeman if you put a traffic light and the kid knows that if it is green you go, and then so those are automation. The human should find something better. So basically I see it like those people who are doing such basic things might need to upgrade their knowledge or even use these technologies to assist them so that they can do more things. Probably I can do the work of 10 people than which I used to do by myself. Using AI I can manage a lot more. So we should always think from a positive perspective. AI is not there to take away jobs or replacing humans. Like I said, it is highly impossible, at least in my generation, or probably I'm not very sure, but I don't want to predict so wild, but at least for the next 20-30 years nothing worse can happen in that way. So for me, AI is now more like a talking parrot. So whatever you have trained, it just talk back. So ChatGPT is more like that. So you can also get stupid answers.
Yeah.
If you have experienced ChatGPT, and you might get very stupid answers. At the same time, you will get some very nice answers, and you feel that wow, it is like this. So it's all how you set the context and how you challenge further. So the prompt engineering itself is now a new field. How you challenge and continuously adapt the answers. So prompt engineering is a very interesting area within generative AI itself.
As a legal person, what extent of prompt engineering should I know? Like, to what extent should I know about about prompt engineering?
Well, like I said, prompt engineering itself is now a course, like a 3-credit course in some US universities. So from foundations to programming. So basically that needs a lot of programming skills. You need to interact with the model and then create. So I think for a professional, I think as long as you know how to set the context. For example, you should set the context, whatever knowledge you know about. For example, if you want to ask about me, who is Ajit Abraham, that is more like a direct question. But if you set the context, I want to know what are his key innovations, and if you can tell some areas is work in stock market or is work in healthcare, and what sort of impact it has. So more you can, set the context, it can give you more detailed answers. So it is all about setting the context.
So there have been quite few incidents which projecting gray area in side effects of AI. So cases like people getting involved with AI romantically are growing at a very rapid pace. So what's your views in this area?
I think it is a problem. I think I think it is not AI itself. I think it is a problem facing our generation. A lot of dependencies on technology for many things, and like you said earlier, the way we get the answers, we feel that it is something real and something natural, organic, which is not. So with technologies, so we see good and bad things. One is, we talked about good things, that it brings a lot of advantages to the society, automation, assisting people, reducing burden. At the same time, negative aspect is some people might get lazy. Like you said, youngsters might get influenced with all these chatbots, thinking that they are real people, but they are not. And apparently recently even fraudsters, they are using deep fakes, looting money from banks, even from bankers, not from normal people, even from bankers. Even they are setting virtual courts, telling that you are under arrest, and we are setting up a panel. And so a lot of things are happening because of the influence of technology, and I would say the blind faith. So I think education is one way to minimize the negative aspects of AI and technology at large. But again, I think over time, like experience, once someone gets a taste of that, then that won't work in the community. So it's a matter of time, probably. A lot of things needs to clean up in its own way. So security is often a big concern. So that is a natural thing, and the world of security itself is very complicated. For example, we cannot make a lock that suits for all situations. For example, you can create a padlock if you have a door like this, knowing the enemy is only humans. But imagine an elephant comes in, then what is the meaning of padlock?
Exactly.
So unless we know the enemy in terms of security, then naturally we also cannot develop technologies to defend that. So it is often a challenge in the long run. So usually what information security people do is more like a hide and seek game. So sometimes the professional himself or herself pretend to be a thief, and then try to understand how things are working, and then try to come back and develop the technology so that they can defend. So it's again a very open area, interesting area.
Like many of us are often using AI or ChatGPT for our research assignments. So we share a lot of information. So what do you think? Is it safe to share those information, or are there any ethical framework for these type of chatbots or ChatGPT type?
So are you referring to sharing information to the GPTs, and they will store
exactly
your private information, right, and then? So definitely it depends upon what all things you put up, because most of them are free, and we don't know actually what is happening inside. Even I think scientists doesn't know what is happening inside. So these are all some of the, I would say, foundational challenges of GPTs, because they are very opaque. They are not very transparent, and they cannot give a solution to how they derived on that particular answer. Okay. So as long as I cannot explain that, then basically whatever you feed inside, no one knows what is going inside, right? So there is a huge privacy concern that is one of the, I would say, side effects of generative AI based platforms. Training or bias, because many of these models are heavily based on training data. So for example, if data is exclusively trained based on certain demographics or based on certain aspects, then it cannot really talk about other aspects. And many times, the more focused you are, for example, if you want to develop a legal GPT, means you only train with legal documents, then you won't get much noise. The answers will be more crisp, the privacy also will be limited. So again, depends upon how you would like to set up the models.
So sir, AI is much more what we know today in the coming years. So now do you think it will influence legal areas or even vice versa?
No, there is no doubt that AI is going to influence not only legal, but I would say the entire professional field, from management to education to transportation to media to legal, healthcare, designing materials. So AI is going to have a long-term impact in all these professional fields. Especially in legal field, like I mentioned earlier, it is going to have a tremendous influence, because law typically is directly linked with language models, and LLMs are all about language and models, and I can directly see a huge synergy between legal profession and the contribution which generative AI can bring, from understanding cases to document mining to predicting case outcomes. So a lot of IP, understanding IP, various predictive analytics from a legal perspective. So a lot of things can change once AI is going to have more influence. And as I mentioned earlier, imagine after 5 years when you have the real LLMs or GPTs, it will change a lot of things.
So sir, as you mentioned, like after 5 years, what, like, are we gonna see any more level of GPT, since we know about GPT plus, but like, what do you think, are we getting any more levels of chat GPT?
Yeah, definitely. So I think the entire, like I said, right now it's more like a talking parrot. So I think the parrot might slowly evolve to a cat might evolve to a dog, and so probably slowly it will get to human being over time. So I think right now it's more like a parrot. So we are still working a lot of things. Like I said, right now it is more linking many things and giving you that surprise answers. So you'll get more, I would say, more creative answers than stupid answers. But over time, that stupidity might reduce, and then you will only get more creative answers, more acceptance, and you will find it more useful, etc.
And that brings us to the end of today's episode. Thank you for tuning in to Adalat Unplugged. A special thank you to Dr. Ajit Abraham for his invaluable time and for sharing his inspiring journey and experiences with us. Make sure to follow Bennett Special to catch all our future episodes. For more updates, follow us on Instagram at CIPL_BU. Stay curious, stay inspired, and stay tuned. This is your host, Manav Garg, signing off. See you next time.